Gasoline engine component. Gasoline engine no doubt like other engine that have various mechanical components that work together to achieve one goal, namely the flywheel rotation continuously. Gasoline engine component includes 1. Cylinder block. The cylinder block is a component made of cast iron as the main component where the piston moves. The cylinder block has cylinder cavities coated with liner or aluminum material as a place for piston to move up and down. The cylinder block also functions as the main support of all engine components. Volumetrically, there are types of cylinder block. Overbore cylinder. The first type is overbore cylinder or short stroke. As the name implies, this cylinder has a large bore volume or diameter than a stroke or stop. This volume design is perfect for sport cars or motorcycle that require speed. That because this model is able to achieve higher top speed than other type, but at low RPM the power produced by this engine is very weak. Long stroke engine. The second type has a tap or stroke design that is longer than the diameter or bore. This design allows the engine to produce a maximum moment or maximum torque. So, this car is more suitable for small capacity commercial car, but the cylinder block design like this is not able to achieve RPM as high as the first type. Square engine. The street model comes as an intermediary for the two types of cylinder above. As the name implies, square engine is aligned or bore is the same as stroke. This type is more common and is widely applied to motorcycle or car engine in everyday use. With a square model, it allows the engine to produce a high maximum RPM rotation and produce a torque that is not too small too. So, this model is suitable for use in mass production vehicle. Piston. A piston component that moves up and down in a cylinder tube. The main function of the piston is change the volume in the cylinder tube for the engine work cycle. Movement of the piston up and down causing change in the volume of the cylinder so that the engine working cylinder can occur. A piston must have high resistance because the piston will receive power generated by combustion of the engine. In a piston, there are several supporting components among others. Ring compression. The diameter of the piston must be smaller than the diameter of the cylinder. Difference in a diameter that is too large causes a small resulting compression, but a difference in diameter that is too small causes a large friction force. For this reason, a gap or difference in the diameter of the piston and cylinder is made so that they do not rub together. To maximize the level of compression, ring compression is used, so that the piston does not rub against the cylinder wall directly, but the compression ring is the one rubbing against the cylinder wall. Compression ring thickness is very small, only around millimeter, so that the friction length is also small. Generally, an engine uses two compressed ring on a piston. Oil ring. Similar to compression ring, oil ring are also made of circular steel, but there are many cavities around the oil ring. When the piston moves up and down, the crankshaft automatically rotates. Inside the crankshaft chamber also contains engine oil, so that when the crankshaft rotates, the oil will be emitted in all directions, including into the cylinder. The function of the oil ring is to prevent oil that is in the cylinder wall from entering the combustion chamber. The oil ring is located under the compression ring, so that when the piston moves to the BDC bottom dead center, oil attached to the cylinder wall will be swept by the oil ring. Piston pin. The piston pin is a cylindrical component that is mounted transversely inside the piston. It functions as a roller or small end pedestal on the connecting rod. The piston pin must have a small friction force because during the engine cycle this component will rub against the small end. Therefore, this component is made more shiny and there are also oil lines so that the resulting friction is smaller. Connecting rod. Connecting rod is a component that functions to connect the piston with the crankshaft or crankshaft. Connecting rod shaped bar with X and has a different diameter at the top, and we know as the small end point that is associated with the piston through the piston ring. Where at the low end we know it as the big end with a large diameter that is associated with the crankshaft. Both small and big end must be equipped with bearing was purpose in to prevent the two components from rubbing against each other. This bearing is made of aluminum, so it has small friction. Crankshaft. Crankshaft is a component that functions to change the up and down movement of the piston into a rotary motion. A crankshaft utilizes a bicycle swing function that reduces track movement into rotation through a roller. Crankshaft on gas-solid engine 4 are not equipped with weight balance, which function as counterweight so that the engine rotation can be stable. Head cylinder assembly advancement. The cylinder head is a component that is located above the engine block. In the past, the cylinder head was made of cast iron to make it sturdy, but today the cylinder head carries a lot of aluminum alloy material to make it lighter. The function of the cylinder block is various. Generally, the cylinder head has a coil for the combustion chamber. As a valve seat, as a spark plug, as a support for intake and exhaust manifold, as an injector on the FV engine. Valve mechanism. Valve mechanism is a mechanism that serves to determine the timing and duration of the valve opening. The valve opening timing is adjusted to the piston position in a cylinder, through and timing chain or timing gear with rotation of 2 by 1. This means that the crankshaft requires to turn to rotate the camshaft once. There are several kinds of valve configuration, for example, overhead valve, single overhead camshaft, double overhead camshaft.